Hello Year 6, and welcome to your first part of today's English lesson, where we're going to be looking at this story, When Jessie Came Over the Sea. Now this is a very important story because your work for the rest of this week will be about this story. So if you're not sure of anything that I've read, or you get to the end and you're still not 100% sure what's happened in the story, go back and listen to it again, because this is what our work will be about for this week. Now, again, we're looking at chronological reports, so it's in that time order. And this is sort of a chronological story, okay? It is in time order and it goes through, okay? But it is a fictional piece of writing. But it gives us, again, an idea of what we could be writing about. So when Jessie came across the sea, remember, if you don't understand at any points, pause it, go back and listen again. Once, in a poor village far from here, there was a very small house with a slanting roof, and inside there were 2 chairs, 2 beds, and a table with fine lace cloth. A pot-bellied stove warmed the place in winter, and it warmed the thin soup. Jessie lived in that house with grandmother. They had 1 skinny cow, Miss Minnie, and a patch of garden. Carrots came up here and there, and sometimes even a potato. But long ago, when Jessie was a baby, her parents died. Jessie kept her mother's wedding ring, though in a tiny silver box with a tiny little piece of lace. And from time to time, she tried it on. In the morning, when the village boys went to the rabbi for lessons, Jessie went too. Grandmother had insisted. And at night, after supper, Jessie read out loud. She practiced writing her letters by the fire. Grandmother sewed lace, and the coins she earned were dropped in a jar on the table. Now, you read, Grandmother, and copy my letters. Jessie liked being a teacher. Me? Me? Learn to read and write? Grandmother scoffed. Well, sometime you never know. You may want to read some things, Jessie said. You may want to write. Grandmother showed Jessie how to sew lace, but Jessie pricked herself often. Why do I have to learn? Sometime you may never know. You may want to sew some things, Grandmother answered. You may want to earn some money. One evening, towards the end of summer, the rabbi called the people of the village to the synagogue. The news from America is sad, said the rabbi. My good brother has left this world. The villagers sighed and shook their heads. Rest in peace. Shortly before he died, my brother sent me a ticket to America. The rabbi paused. He wanted me to join him there. America, the promised land. The voices rose as one. But alas, the rabbi sighed, I am the rabbi. How can I leave this village? How can I abandon my people? He threw up his hands. Someone else must go into my place. Someone of my choosing. Later that night, many villagers came to the rabbi's house. Rabbi, listen to reason. I must go to America, for I am strong. Rabbi, listen to good sense. I must go to America, for I am very, very smart. Rabbi, listen to logic. I must go to America, for I am brave. The rabbi listened. Oh, how they boast and how they brag, he thought. Tonight, I shall seek guidance from the Almighty. Go home. Tomorrow I will choose, he said. Early the next morning, Jessie and Grandmother had a caller. I have decided, announced the rabbi. Jessie will go to America. My brother's widow has a dress shop in New York City. Her name is Kay, and Jessie can help with all the sewing. She will comfort the good lady. Jessie's hands started to shake. America, so far away from Grandmother. She bit her lip, for she must not cry in front of the rabbi. Don't make me go, she thought. You know best. Grandmother spoke softly and quietly to the rabbi. Oh, but her heart was breaking. Dear Jessie, alone on a ship to America? Grandmother's heart said one thing, but her head said another. Jessie must go. A week passed quickly, then 2 more, as grandmother prepared Jessie for her journey. The morning the ship was set to sail, it rained so hard there was no telling where the sky and the sea met. America, good things await you there, grandmother had promised. Jessie stood at the rail, holding her hat against the wind and the rain. At her feet was a small trunk packed with a few simple clothes and layers of lace. In Jessie's pocket was a tiny silver box with a tiny little lace lining. But her mother's wedding ring was not inside. "Keep it safe for me, grandmother," she whispered as she said goodbye. "Grandmother," she called, but the boat slipped away from the dock, then into the channel and on towards the sea. Umbrellas faded in the mist. Rain pelted Jessie's face, and it slid down the back of her collar. Later, she sat on her trunk and cried. Passengers pitied the girl with the auburn hair and ginger-coloured freckles. But what could they do? Crammed together and fearful, speaking strange languages, huddling close to keep warm, what could they do for Jessie? The ship sailed west for many days. At first it was stormy, and Jessie lay curled on a mat, too ill to eat, too ill to sleep, and she thought about grandmother in the hut with the slanting roof, eating her soup all alone. On the 4th morning, the sun came up and the passengers dried out. They played cards and sang, and sometimes they even argued, but mostly they talked, swapping stories and dreams of America, where the streets were paved with gold, America, the land of plenty. Jessie began sewing to pass the time. Just to touch the soft lace was like touching grandmother again. A little girl with almond eyes climbed on Jessie's lap. They sang and played games with their fingers. Then Jessie sewed lace, a tiny little heart pocket for the girl's plain dress. Miss Almond Eyes danced. An old woman came along in a tattered coat, and Jessie sewed lace, a collar and cuffs, and soon the coat looked grand. A boy called Lou, he was a shoemaker's son, watched as Jessie sewed lace. "How'd you do?" he asked, sipping his hat. Jessie smiled. Lou took patches of leather from his splintered crate, and he stitched shoes for a baby who cried when his mother put them on his fat baby feet. This time Jessie laughed. And later, Lou and Jessie walked on the deck and talked. They shared black rye bread as the ship rolled and pitched in the wide, wide sea. On a fine autumn day, they sailed past the Statue of Liberty. America. No one swapped stories or argued. Babies even went quiet. Even the oldest passengers, the most seasick, stood against the rail. America. And there it was, New York City, with those tall, tall buildings that touched the sky. Grandmother, Jessie thought, if only you could see what I can see now. The ship docked on Ellis Island. Then papers, wait in line. Inspections, wait in line. Papers, wait in line. Questions. What's your name? Jessie. What's your age? 13. Are you married? No. What's your occupation? I sew lace. Can you read? Write? Yes. Are you ill? No. Jessie! A woman with bright hair burst through the crowd. You can call me Cousin May. She had a soft, sweet voice, and she gave Jessie a hug. Where's Lou? Jessie wondered as Cousin Kay talked on. I forgot to say goodbye. Cousin Kay lived on the Lower East Side. Her house was 3 floors up. There was a bathtub in the kitchen, a dress shop in the parlour. Dear Grandmother, I miss you. Cousin Kay takes me all around the city. I wish you could see the push carts and the shops and the trolleys speeding by. But there are too many people in America, and the streets are not made from gold. There are no cows. Cousin Kay brought me a pickle from a barrel. Tomorrow I will begin to sew lace for her. Love, Jessie. Jessie chose the yellow chair near the window in the parlour. The light was good for sewing there, and she could see the street. Best of all, Jessie liked to sew lace, a collar, cuffs, a delicate sash, and every Friday, Cousin Kay gave 3 coins to Jessie, who dropped all 3 into a jar. Just have a think now, when was this story set? Travelling by boat, lots of papers, looking at the picture there that you might see in America. Think about when this story could well be set. One afternoon, just for the fun of it, Jessie pinned a lace bodice onto the plain white dress on the cutting board. She pinned lace to the sleeves. "Oh, what a beautiful wedding dress that would be," said Cousin Kay. "Miss Emily Levy was browsing the shop that very day. Well, I'm getting married. That dress would be perfect for me." The wedding dress was lovely. So lovely that Emily's cousin, Miss Rachel Katz, wanted one just like it for her wedding day. And before long, brides, women who were getting married, were filling up Cousin Kay's parlour to get some of Jessie's wedding dresses. "You must go to school," said Cousin Kay one day. "Everyone in America speaks English. My Jessie will speak it too." So in the morning, Jessie went to school. A is for apple, B is for boy, C, carrot. English is hard. "Dear Grandmother, I miss you more than ever. There's a library here with rows of books. I want to read them all. On Sundays I take long walks on city streets and I don't get lost anymore. There are flowers in the parks. Love, Jessie." Jessie learned more and more English. She sewed beautiful lace, and so 3 years passed. She was a young lady now, 16. Just 3 years have passed. On an icy cold Sunday in March, Jessie walked up 5th Avenue, then into the park where the trees were covered in new snow. Sledges crisscrossed the hills. Jessie sat on a bench and watched a young man as the wind whipped up and blew off his hat. She laughed out loud. The young man turned. "Lou?" Jessie couldn't believe her eyes. "Lou, her friend from the ship." Jessie waved, and Lou, the shoemaker's son, waved back. He would have tipped his hat, but the wind had swept it away. The next Sunday they met again on the bench in the park, and the Sunday after that, and the Sunday after that, and the Sunday after that. "Dear Grandmother, I have a special friend. He makes good strong shoes from pieces of leather. His name is Lou. You will like him, Grandmother, I promise. Love, Jessie." One evening, Jessie met Lou's parents, his brother and his 3 sisters. She bought a basket of bread with a lace cloth. The 2 littlest sisters cried when she left. "Marry me?" asked Lou on the stairs outside his house. "Soon," said Jessie, as she smiled and held his hand. Days passed, and weeks. Jessie sewed lace early and late. Months went by. Jessie sewed, and then one day the jar was full with coins. She brought it to a man who sold tickets in America. "I need a ticket for Grandmother," she said. And every day, Jessie rushed down the 3 flights of stairs to the mailbox. The letter finally came, and it was a breezy day. The handwriting was shaky, but Jessie knew that Grandmother had written every single word herself. "Dear Jessie, I sewed the ticket of the lining into my coat. I will say goodbye to this village. The rabbi is taking Miss Minnie. Your loving Grandmother." That morning, her ship arrived in New York harbour. It rained so hard there was no telling where the sky met the sea. Grandmother was older than Jessie remembered, and she was much more frail. They held each other for a very long time. "I've brought something for you," Grandmother whispered, "from across the sea." With that, she slipped Jessie's mother's wedding ring into Jessie's hand. Then they went home, for there was going to be a wedding. The end. Okay, so that is the story of when Jessie came across the sea. Now, as I said, it's very, very important that you read this book, okay, or listen to this book again if you're not fully sure, because our work is all about this book for the rest of the week, okay? So just have a think, when was it set, okay? How did she travel so far? Did she not use a plane for a reason? Maybe they weren't invented, okay? Think what the conditions on the boat would have been like.